Hi, in this tutorial we'll be dealing with selecting features on the map. The Selection tab is on the Function panel to the right of the screen. The selection criteria you can select are in the top panel here, so you see a number of fields. First, let's take a closer look at the panel. It consists of a series of fields with drop-down menus and some buttons we have over here. You can mouse over the buttons and the fields to get a better idea of what you can do with them. But first let's start off with the buttons. So the first button, of course, is your Select Feature button, and this is the button that's already selected for you when you first come into the GPV. Use it to pick features on the map. You can do this either by simply clicking on a feature, and so you've clicked on that feature, you'll notice that the information about it comes up under the Selection tab. You can also select multiple features if you want by clicking and dragging a box. That'll select a whole bunch of features for you. If you want to select features in two different areas simultaneously, so you've got these features selected over here, but you want to say select this site as well in addition, you can just hit the Shift key, hold that down, and then click on the site and it'll add that to your list. Also, if you're using a PC, you can hold the Control button and click on a site to remove it from that list. We also have a button that says Select All in View, and that does exactly what it says. It will select everything within the map panel view, and of course we also have the Clear Selection view, which will just clear everything. So those are the buttons in the Selection tab. We also have over in the Map panel a Zoom to Selected Features button. So you can have a selected site, and then if you click on Zoom to Selected Features, it'll take you straight into that particular feature. That's of course much more useful if you're like in this huge area and you've got this one selected site and you want to zoom into it. You can also double click on a site, so let's just go to the Zoom to Previous Extent here a second and move out to where we were before, and then you can go over to the Selection panel and double click on the name of the list, and that will also zoom you right into the site. Let's say that you want to get a bit more detailed with the information you're looking for. Using the fields under the Selection tab, you can pick features on the map from certain layers and display information about them. The fields consist of an action field, the target field, the proximity field, the selection field, and finally the filter. So let's look at these individually. So first we have a selection field. This will let you specify what the Select Features tool to the left will do when you click on the map. Three types of action are supported in the drop-down. You have Select, which is your basic one. So if that's selected, then you're clicking on a site, you're selecting that site. You also have the option to Find All, and that will find all sites within, as you can see from further down here, a specific area. We have two selected in the proximity field. They're half a mile and a mile. And then the other option is to find one or more of a particular type of site within an area. So then we have a look at the target field. We let you choose the target layer. Our target layers are for sites and surveys in zones 12 and 13. Data for features picked from this layer will be shown in the data grid below these fields. If you use the Help feature in the GPV, you'll see that they frequently refer to target and selection layers. Knowing what shows up in the target and selection fields will help you understand what they're talking about. Next, we have a proximity field that we've already dealt with. We have the two options, half mile, 1 mile. Those are our two most popular buffers we found from our clients, so that's what we've gone with. And then we have the selection field. This lets you choose the selection layer. Features picked from this layer will be used to search for features in the target layer. As you can see, there are a lot of features. These can be highways, rivers, quad maps, other sites, etc., etc. However, the feature you want to use has to be visible in the map at the time you run your selection criteria. If it isn't, just go to the Legend tab up here and select it. So for instance, we don't have local roads or hydrology selected right now, so you're not going to be able to use those until you select them. Remember, if you select them, to always hit refresh map. And finally, we have the filter, which gives you an awful lot of options that you can select by. So you can say, select all sites that are archaeological or historic or on the National Register. All of this can be a bit overwhelming at first, but we found that it can be easiest to think of all these fields together as a sentence. For instance, I want to find all the Zone 13 sites within half a mile of, let's say, highways, since we know that's selected in the legend, that are historic. Okay, so you've got all those options. Then you have to click on the highway in which you are interested. Now, right now, we don't have a highway visible, so I'm just going to zoom out. And then we have a highway. So let's say we want to see what sites, historic sites, are near a highway. Let's click on this little one over on the right-hand side there. And you'll see that it shows you the sites, 18 sites, that are within half a mile of the highway. You'll also notice that a buffer zone has been shown. Now, there are a couple things you would be wise to keep in mind. The query will buffer the entire highway, or whatever map feature you've decided to go with, not just what you see in the view, and returns all the sites in the buffer area, but to a limit of about 999. The longer the highway, the longer it is going to take for the data to load. So if you pick I-25 or I-70, you'll have to be patient. Maybe go make yourself a cup of coffee or take the opportunity to stretch your legs, because that one could take a while. If you want to see the shaded buffer, some of the map layers are better for that than others. For instance, it shows up quite well in the quad layer, but is lost in the background of, say, the aerial photo layer. So let's see if we can get that to show up. So as you can see there, the purple really doesn't show up so well. So now that we've selected a group of sites from a map, let's look at the data we got from the selection. First, we've got the data grid. This displays data about the selected sites or surveys that fit the filter criteria, so all of the ones within the distance of that highway. You can highlight a row by clicking on it. This will highlight the corresponding feature on the map, if it's visible, and bring up detailed information about the site on the bottom panel. Double clicking will do the same, plus zoom to the feature. So while that site wasn't visible, it is now. Again, something to keep in mind, you might be tempted to use the Zoom to Selected Features tool on the map panel. This will actually zoom you to the extent of the highway, so that's this tool over here. This will actually zoom you to the extent of a highway you just selected and not to the site you've just highlighted in the data grid. We also have other features here. In the data panel, we have to mailing labels link. This is grayed out, and we've sort of come to see that this doesn't really fit our needs, so for right now it's not enabled. There's always the option that that might change. Also below the data grid is the to spreadsheet link. This exports the data shown in the data grid and the summary fields to an Excel spreadsheet. If you have highlighted one of the sites in the data grid, the bottom selection panel shows the detailed data. We have 5 tabs of additional data for sites and 1 for surveys, which is right there. If there are more tabs that can fit on the screen, as we see here, you can either move these over and you'll get, by clicking and dragging, you'll get the extra tabs, or you can go to the white space between the map panel and the function panel and pull that area over, and then suddenly you'll be seeing more of the tabs because you got more space for it. Depending on what type of site you're dealing with, not every tab will contain data. For instance, as we can see here, it's a historic site, so there isn't going to be anything much in the archaeology panel. Each of the tabs contains a link back to the Compass record. If a site is on the national or state registries, or the site form has already been scanned, you will also see a link to the site form and/or nomination. However, if that is not the case, then you'll see no form has been scanned as an option. The link destination will pop up in a new window. Finally, at the top right of the panel, there is a link that in the future will let you print data. I hope this has all made sense, and please check out our other tutorials for more information about the GPV.